Oh, hey, I didn't see you come in. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Michael Genvik, and I am the chef here at Moving Mountains. Thank you so much for purchasing one of our drop-off meals. We are super excited about having this as an offering for our community. I'm now going to remove my mask because for the remainder of this video, I will not be wearing my mask for ease of communication. I would, however, like to say that all of our employees at Moving Mountains are following all CDC and FDA guidelines while preparing, cooking, and serving all of your meals that you will receive from us. We can't wait to see you in the kitchen. Hey everyone, welcome to lovely Steamboat, Colorado. Look at where we are. Ooh, that crisp winter smell. It is beautiful out here. And do you know what makes it more beautiful than this? This right here. Oh my gosh. Right here we have a wonderful 40-ounce beef ribeye tomahawk. Ooh. My gosh, I cannot wait to grill this up, teach you how to grill it up, so we can sit down and eat this for dinner together. Oh my gosh. So, we have our ribeye. I have now taken it out of the fridge and I've let it sit for about an hour. We really want it to come fully up to room temperature. So when we stick it on this bad boy, the middle of this steak is at room temperature, so we can kind of cook the outside and the inside all evenly together, so we get a nice beautiful medium rare or medium or however you like to cook your steak. We'll get it just there, just perfect to enjoy our dinner as best as possible. So the steak comes marinated in a little bit of garlic, chili flake, rosemary, olive oil. So what we want to do is we want to remove that marinade as much as possible because we don't want that extra stuff to kind of burn on the grill. So I'm going to take this off the steak and then we're going to season it with salt and pepper. So here I have a lovely pepper shaker. We're going to give a nice even coat on the top and we're going to flip the steak and get it there. And we're going to do the same with the salt. A really nice, heavy coating. Beautiful. All on the sides as well. And salt is one of those ingredients that's really important in all cooking. What it does is it pulls the moisture out of the food and it intensifies the flavor. So we really want to incorporate it in all of our cooking. However, if we don't like our food to be heavily seasoned and less salt, don't put as much. If we like a little bit more, add a little bit more. That's the beauty of cooking for ourselves, is we get to control how much product we have in there. So now we have our grill that's been preheated. This particular Weber grill preheats really, really nicely on high heat. I have it on all burners, even the sear station. So this thing is really blazing hot. And that's what we want. So I have scrubbed this earlier to get off any residue, as we should do after all grilling processes. But it's nice and clean. But now I want to oil it lightly to just kind of help the steak. The steak has a little bit of residual oil on it from the marinade, but we want to help the steak kind of create this nice sear on the grill itself without sticking too much. So I have a rag that I've kind of tied, and I'm just going to give it a nice little rub here. And we see the smoke come up, we know that baby is hot. So now I have the sear section is right here in the grill. So we're going to get our first sear kind of right there. This boy is big. All right, so we're going to get him down. And then I'm really going to kind of push him down so I know that he is evenly touching the hot part of that grill. Whew. Look at that baby sizzle. So, important tip here with grilling. Let it be for the time being. We are going to move it in a little bit, but we do want to create that caramelization with the grill pads on the steak to give a nice little char. And we're going to leave it for about 45 seconds to a minute before we do a 90-degree turn to get another on the other side before we flip the steak. So another great point to know about your steak is don't be afraid of your steak. Some people are so timid and don't want to touch it. They want to, I know I told you to kind of leave it be, but don't be afraid to check it. Get in there, grab it, take a look at it. How does it look? Does it look done? If not, we put it back. If it does, we flip it and we turn it. Okay, another 45 seconds to a minute on that side, or until we see another deep caramelization, and then we're going to give it a flip. All right, wonderful. So now we've been watching this steak for roughly 2 to 3 minutes on this one side, and I think it's just about there. So let's grab it and take a look. All right, and we see the nice hash marks on the outside, and what that's doing is giving direct heat to those different points of attack all across the steak to give a nice even cooking. And I see that looks pretty good to me. We're gonna cook this for a bit longer as it's a nice thick piece of steak, so I am gonna flip it. And now when we do flip our meat and we move our steak around on the grill, we wanna remember that we just had it on this area of the grill. Well, what's gonna happen to that area of the grill? It's gonna be a little bit colder. So we actually wanna now move it back to another super hot part of the grill. Stick it down for another 45 seconds to a minute or until it's done, and we'll flip it another 90 degrees. All right, everyone. So I think it's been about another minute on this other side, maybe a little bit longer. As the outside temperature is so cold while we're grilling, we have to remember that the grill is going to cool down as we have this hood open. So I kept it a little bit longer on this second side, and now we're going to pick it up. We still see that nice sear, and we'll do it another turn, and we're going to move it to another part of the grill and make sure it's touching all throughout, and we're going to leave it for another minute. All right, so now we've gone another full minute and a half on this bottom side. So now we've seared the top, we've seared the bottom, but now we're going to sear the sides. And it's really important with a big steak like this to get really nice caramelization all around this bad boy, because there's a nice layer of fat, a little fat cap on top of the ribeye, which we really want to caramelize and kind of render out some of the fat, but crisp it up as well, so it's extra yummy. So we're going to kind of guide it here. Let it stand on itself. Sometimes these steaks will stand up on their own. They've got a really nice base to them. They're about an inch and a half thick. But if they don't, just kind of guide it. If it's a little too hot for your hands to be over the grill, you know, let it go, let it fall a little bit, and you can put it back up. It's no big deal. We're really just kind of looking to kind of, you can see right there, the fat is starting to render and caramelize and get this nice golden brown, delicious color. All right, and we are gonna get all the different sides of this guy. So we'll kind of hold it up on its top as well. And then also on every little angle on the bottom there, on the bone. Really important to get the bone as well. Like how I mentioned, it's really important to get that fat cap on the top. Hitting the bone side is incredibly important because there's going to be some of the coldest part of the meat. And we want to make sure that that meat is just as well cooked as what we have in the center there. So kind of hitting that backbone is really important. So now that we've cooked every little side of this piece of meat to get it nice and caramelized around, we're ready to start our indirect cooking process. And what that is we're actually going to turn this grill down low, just as if we were to put it into a warm oven at around 300 degrees. We're going to do that with our grill. We've got it on. Why not? So we're going to take the middle burners and turn them completely off. And we're going to take our piece of meat and put it on that same rack that we brought it up to temp in and seasoned it on. And so with these two off, and then these outer ones, we're going to move the outer ones to about medium heat. And I found that on this Weber grill, this type of heat configuration is going to give us roughly about a 275 degree oven in here. So we're going to pop this baby on, and then we're also going to take our lovely baked potatoes that came in the box with some broccoli and cheddar cheese that are kind of mixed in here, still wrapped in the foil, and we'll pop them right on this tray. And we're going to close the lid and let this guy come up to temp. Now it's really important, depending on the grill, The temperature might change. Maybe on this grill it's going to pop up to 350 at the settings that I have. So we want to be able to adjust. So I would come back in about 5 minutes, see what temperature the grill has come up to, and adjust accordingly. And we're going to want to check the meat about every 5 to 7 minutes to see the temperature to get it to our complete doneness. So this is what we're looking for here. We've got 275 degrees. This is going to allow that steak to cook nice and slowly and not have the outside be overcooked, but have it cook nice and evenly all the way through. So you're going to get a nice warm pink center, but it will still be nice and light in the middle as well and not overcooked and charred too much. So 275 is your money number that I like. Now, if you like it to be a little bit more well done on the outside, like I said, maybe char it a little bit more on the direct heat and also pump up the temperature a little bit more. But this is what I find to be best for something like a tomahawk. So let's open it up and check it out. So now it's been going for about 7 to 8 minutes, and we're just going to give it a nice little flip. That way, even though it's completely indirect heat, essentially with an oven, there still is going to be some direct heat coming up from these grill pads through this tray that we have it sitting on. So we want to flip it every once in a while so it's never getting too much direct heat coming up through the bottom. So we'll just kind of flip it there and then come back and check it in another 7 minutes or so, just kind of poking it lightly and seeing how done it is. All right, so now we've been checking the steak periodically, every 5 to 7 minutes, giving it a turn, giving it a check, checking the wellness, seeing if it's done. And let's check it now. It's been about a half hour. All right, so we've got the steak. I'm gonna kind of press down on it. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Still has a good amount of give, but not too much. And I'm kind of thinking it's gonna be around medium rare right now. I'm gonna flip it over and check over there on the other side as well. Feels about the same. So trusting my own gut, I have a feeling this is going to carry over cook to a perfect medium rare. But if you do have an instant read thermometer in one of your houses, or you happen to pack really heavy and bring one of these bad boys with you, we can check it into our steak. So let's stick this guy into the thickest part of the steak in the middle and see how it comes up. Well, voila, I was right. A nice 125 right now, which is showing the steak to be rare. But as we pull it off the heat now, it's going to carry over cook over the next 7 to 10 minutes while we let it rest. And during those 7 to 10 minutes, you can expect the steak to carry over about another 7 to 10 degrees. And I want this steak to be in about the 135 range. So I'm going to pull the steak now, and we're going to let it rest on our kitchen table while we prepare the rest of our meal. All right. So now our steak has been taken off the grill. We've let it rest for 7 to 10 minutes at room temperature. And now we're going to be ready to carve this magnificent beast right here. And I've also checked my baked potatoes at this time. When I checked the steak, I kind of took a peek into these to see how they were doing. And I saw they were nice and creamy and gooey and felt hot. And I kind of stick the probe thermometer on the inside to make sure they were. But you can use your judgment as well to see how bubbling and hot and crispy they are as well. So we'll unwrap the foil to let those cool down slightly while we're going to cut our steak. So we have our wonderful steak here. First, we're going to take off our string that I used to truss this guy to keep it all together during the cooking process. And we'll just use the scissors I find works best, but if you have a little paring knife or a bigger knife, that works just as fine as well. Up to you. All right, so now that we've gotten all of the string off of the ribeye, we're ready to cut this. I'm kind of feeling it's still really nice and warm to the touch. It's going to be really nice and juicy on the inside. So the way I like to carve this is I like to take it off the bone, and then we're going to carve the different parts of this meat afterwards. So we're going to carve down on the bone perfectly. And right there we got a little bone that we're just going to go around. And you can see a nice, beautiful, even layer of pinkness on the outside there. So we know it's wonderfully cooked to a beautiful medium. We'll get that bone on there. And then now we have our ribeye to cut. Now, a couple of different ways to do this. I like to cut against the grain, but this first we have this little kind of cap here of a little bit of a different muscle. And you see it kind of separates very easily. And we want to just guide that off the meat with our knife. And then being that this is a ribeye for two, we're gonna cut this little piece into 2 little pieces so each person can get a nice little fatty chunk of that bad boy. We'll put that right there. And then we have the rest of the steak. Sometimes ribeyes have another kind of muscle cap that's gonna be wrapped around the outside there. And this one in particular doesn't. It just kind of depends on how far along the steak is in the animal. As it goes further to the back of the animal, it's gonna have a bigger cap on the outside. This one was a little bit closer to the front, so it doesn't. So we don't need to worry about removing it. We're gonna keep that fat right onto the meat. But if it was, I would remove it, and I would kind of do a similar thing to that, as I'd cut it in half or cut it into little nice slices and shingle that out for everyone to be able to taste. So now we're gonna kind of look at the meat and see where the grain is going. I can see that it's kind of going in this direction, so I'm gonna cut into nice, thick slices with a little bit of fat on each piece. You can just see immediately how perfectly cooked this is. I'm gonna show this big interior piece. Oh, that's a nice light pink throughout, perfect medium rare all the way throughout. This is gonna be so nice and tender and juicy with all the fat kind of marbling throughout. And we're just gonna kind of fan this guy out on the plate. And then we'll get our side dishes ready. So besides the baked potato, which we've already got cooked, we have a nice, lovely local green salad. Here in Steamboat, there's a nice array of different farms that provide some greens throughout the year. During the winter, Elkstone Farm has a greenhouse, which provides some beautiful greens, which are these right here. But you can find some other really nice products in town as well. So we're gonna pop these potatoes on the plate also. Get one over there, one over here, and then we'll get our salad going. So I have our Elkstone greens in the bowl right here, and we have a nice, lovely, simple lemon mustard vinaigrette that I've kind of taken out of its container into this little bowl here. When I make a salad, I always like to season my greens a little bit before I put the vinaigrette on. Even though the vinaigrette is seasoned as well, you want those greens to kind of get a little bit of massage of salt and pepper, so it kind of breaks into it, and each little bite is gonna be seasoned well. So I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in, move the greens around with my other hand, so there's a nice even coating of salt throughout, and then we'll do a couple of cracks of black pepper. Same thing, move the salad greens about, so every little piece gets a bit of seasoning, and now we're ready for our dressing. And dressing is kind of just like how I mentioned about the salt with the steak earlier. If you like your salad to be a little bit more acidic or a little bit more heavily dressed, add a little bit more. If you like it to be really lightly dressed, where the dressing is just kind of kissing each little piece of lettuce as you're eating it, then use a little bit less. And that's how I like it. I like my salad dressing to just kind of lightly coat the greens. So there's not too much, but you get a little bit of that kind of acidic punch with each little bite. And this acidity is gonna cut really well with the fattiness of this ribeye here. So we've got the potatoes and a beautiful green salad to top that off. And then last but not least, we've got to add our wonderful Spanish romesco sauce. I had the honor of working with a wonderful chef who had studied in Spain for many years and taught me the recipe for this wonderful Spanish romesco sauce. But this is roasted piquillo peppers, Marcona almonds, which are Spanish almonds that have been roasted with a little bit of salt and oil, a little bit of jalapeno, paprika, cumin, olive oil, and sherry vinegar in here to kind of give it that, once again, another acidic punch to cut through the fat on this steak. And we're just gonna kind of dribble a little bit in there, and a little bit in there, and a little bit on top right there. So everyone can get a little piece as everyone goes in to attack this plate. And we'll finish with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and a sprinkling of salt to go on each little piece of meat. And voila, we have our wonderful grilled beef tomahawk steak and creamy baked potatoes and a little green salad. A wonderful pairing to go with this beef ribeye tomahawk is a wonderful Tempranillo wine from Spain to pair with the Spanish romesco sauce. Here in Steamboat at our wonderful Central Park Liquors, they have a wide variety of different wines. And this one in particular is from Rioja, the region in Spain that produces some of the best Tempranillos in all of Spain. And this will pair wonderfully with this steak.